Hello everybody, Caden here today with another little Jurassic World Reborn mod exhibit build, and today we will be working on a Crassigyrinus exhibit, which is a really cool eel looking like amphibian from the the Carboniferous or the Permian. I can't remember exactly which. It's in Fossils and Archaeology as well. And if you guys have watched my dino series, you know we built an exhibit for that in our bug house ages ago. But I decided I wanted to try and do something a bit new and a bit different with this mod's interpretation of it. And I think this exhibit turns out being really, really interesting. So, of course, we're adding it right next to the same area as the Beelzebufo, continuing the same kind of building theme, where we're building in like an underground cave that's, well, of course it's an underground cave, Caden, you know, caves are only underground. But, well, I guess also underwater. So anyway, going through this little cave to look with viewports into this swampy looking water where we've got all these prehistoric creatures. So of course we've got the Beelzebufo and the Crassigyrinus now, and in the future, and I know I mentioned this in the end of the video, we'll also be adding in Diplocalus, and then Suchomimus and Baryonyx will also be going into this area, as well as Mawsonia, which should be pretty cool overall, I think, and make this a really interesting area to go visit. So I decided I realized I needed to find some ways to make this build a bit different from the Beelzebufo one and try and give it its own little bits of interest. So one of the things I decided to do was arch the glass panes over the top of the pathway, so that way, instead of it being like, like the Beelzebufo one, where you see above the water level and it's kind of flat and then you have a bunch of land, since these amphibians are purely aquatic and don't go on land, I didn't see much of a point in adding that in, so instead I've just increased like a slanted glass pane system over the top of the pathway, so you get a bit of a cooler view of them when they swim. Now I think I may have made it a bit tall, and I didn't make the rest of the exhibit tall enough, in all honesty, to really make the effect super good, but it turns out all right in the very end. Of course, there's a few vegetation areas where I definitely think I could have fixed things up. Overall, though, this was a pretty short build, pretty easy to do. Wasn't anything complicated, but I think it turns out really cool. I think I should have put a bit, if anything, actually, I should have put it a bit closer to the Beelzebufo exhibit, just so that way it wasn't quite as long of a walk between the two, but I think it's fine in the end, and it looks really cool, especially when we throw in some of the final details for the walkway and the exhibit and all that. I think it starts to get this really, really interesting look and feel to it. If anything, I'd say this, so the Beelzebufo one feels more like an exhibit, I'd say, and this one feels almost like a tide pool to me. It's got that kind of like insular, just isolated little body of water with some interest in it, and I think that's really cool. I don't know what I'm doing here. Where did I go? I think I'm probably cutting away at some rocks or something somewhere. Anyway. Oh yeah, there we go. But anyway, one of the things I decided to end up doing with this build was adding in a giant sunken log, and I actually do 3 of them, 2 made out of the calamites logs, and this is something, if you've seen the dino series, we did in the bug house to add some interest to the water sections of the exhibits, but I thought that would be cool to bring back here. This is kind of, I guess you could say, the bug house exhibits we did in our survival series on steroids. This is just like, yeah, really cool if we had infinite space on that world and the bug house was like 6 times the size kind of thing. Although maybe this is what we'll bring to the bug house, who knows. Anyway, you can see I'm carving out the floor of the lake, I guess, or the pond. I fill it in with the same mixture of sand and dried sand we used in the Beelzebufo exhibit, which I think looks pretty good. Again though, now something I did realize with this one that wasn't really a problem with the Beelzebufo exhibit is that this exhibit is really dark, just purely down to the fact that it's really deep water. Whereas the Beelzebufo one, I think the water's only about 4 blocks deep at the very deepest. This one, it's pretty deep all the way through, so it's kind of hard to see very much. So I did throw some sea lanterns in to try to increase visibility. It kind of helped, kind of didn't. So this texture work I ended up throwing in really didn't do much, in all honesty. It's kind of not even noticeable. You can see me throwing in the giant calamites logs to add some interest again, and then here we're using I don't remember what, I think they might be the phoenix wood tree or phoenix wood logs, but we're adding in this giant fallen over tree. It looks super cool, and it's really cool to see the Crassigyrinus swim around it. I think that turned out really well, and it's been a lot of fun to look at them. I I may have sat for a little while after I finished building and just watched them swim, just because, I don't know, I like watching aquatic mobs swim around exhibits like this. It's really cool. But yeah, I know there's been a lot of requests for me to build a T-Rex exhibit, and I will do that soon, but I think I might be doing this one first. I know in the outro, I say maybe we'll work on this, but maybe we'll work on some other stuff. Who knows? But this build was a lot of fun to do, and again, I think it just turned out really well. It was pretty interesting. One regret I do have is not finishing those calamites trees off and actually just making them full-on trees. I kept them just simply as like stumps, but I think that looks all right. But yeah, anyway, I'm just throwing in the rest of the decorations in the foliage right now, so I am going to leave you guys here and catch back up with you guys with the exhibit tour. All right, everybody, here we are, and we're back with the build. So, once again, the plants are all spazzing out, but you know, I bet you I can figure out why they're kind of spazzing out. There must be something wrong with the shaders, which wants to make all the grass move, and one of the mods I have, which is disabling that, which is probably causing the weird staticky thing. Anyway. So, of course, we have the Beelzebufo exhibit from a few videos ago, looking really cool. And now, as you can see, I've connected it up to the new Crassigyrinus exhibit, and I think this looks super duper cool. They're looking awesome. Overall, a very simple exhibit, but I think we got to do some pretty cool stuff with it. I really like the calamite slogs we have in here, the two big ones. And then, of course, this giant fallen tree we've created. I think that looks super duper cool. Very awesome, very interesting and unique, it's exactly what I wanted for this exhibit. It really just adds a major interest point for the animals to swim around, which was something I really wanted to do because, well, you don't want a very flat exhibit. I'm trying to find an angle where it's a bit easier to see into the water. I guess we'll just have to go in there ourselves. So let's quickly hop in, and yeah, there we go. You guys probably got a better view of the log itself from the time lapse, but yeah, overall looks super duper cool. These guys are looking awesome, and yeah, I think this has been a pretty cool build. So as you can see, obviously I've got a big area being set up for what is going to be the rest of the swamp. Obviously the swamp area had started with the Rugops exhibit. Speaking of which, if you notice there's no dinosaurs in any of the exhibits, I was experiencing a tiny bit of lag, which I couldn't tell exactly why, but it definitely did lessen without the dinosaurs in it, so I've temporarily removed all the animals just to make the game run a bit better, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, so I've got a plan basically. So we have a couple other animals like this. We'll be adding in a Diplocalus, probably somewhere around here, a Mawsonia, and, well, because I thought this would probably fit quite well, we can probably throw Suchomimus and Baryonyx over here too, to really make it a bit more of a swampy area, or like to kind of round off the swamp area, as well as Spinosaurus more than likely going over here and being the bridge between the Rugops exhibit and the Carnotaurus exhibit, because I think that's a pretty good area to throw them. But yeah, I think overall that's all I've really got to show you guys, but let me know what you think of this build in the comments down below and what build you'd like to see next. Anyway, thank you all for watching, I hope you've all enjoyed, and until next time guys, see ya.